Hi everyone, welcome back to a new episode. The morning begins with a soft silence, the kind of silence that feels warm and gentle on the soul. A small ray of sunlight slips through the curtains, painting a golden line across the room. I open my eyes slowly, feeling calm, as if the day itself is waiting for me to rise and begin a new chapter. There is no rush, no noise, only the sound of my own breathing and the quiet promise of another day to improve my English. I sit up and take a deep breath. The air smells fresh, and I feel a quiet excitement inside my chest. Today feels different. Today feels like a day when something new might begin. I step out of bed and stretch my arms toward the ceiling, letting my mind wake up gently. As I walk to the kitchen, I speak softly in English, describing each movement. I open the cabinet. I pick up a cup. I pour water into the kettle. The words come slowly but clearly, like a small stream finding its path. Even simple sentences make me feel stronger, as if every word is a step forward. While the water warms, I lean on the counter and think about my journey with English. There were days when I was afraid to speak, days when my voice shook, days when I doubted myself. But each time I felt that fear, something inside me whispered, "Keep going." And so I did. Even when I made mistakes, even when the words felt heavy, I kept moving forward. The kettle begins to steam, and I pour the hot water into my cup. As the tea bag floats, I continue speaking softly. I describe the color of the tea, the warm smell rising from the cup, the way the steam curls into the air. Shadowing has trained me to speak without fear, to let the words flow even when I'm unsure. It feels natural now, almost like breathing. I sit at the table and take a slow sip of tea. The warm liquid spreads through my chest, and I feel grateful for this quiet moment. I pull out my notebook and write a few lines in English, letting my thoughts appear on the page. I'm not writing to be perfect. I'm writing to grow. Mistakes no longer scare me. They have become part of my learning, part of my story. After breakfast, I step outside for a walk. The morning air is cool, brushing gently against my skin. The streets are peaceful, with only a few people walking in the distance. As I walk, I whisper English sentences, practicing shadowing with the world around me. I describe the leaves on the trees, the sound of distant cars, the faint smell of morning air. With each sentence, I feel more connected to the language. As I continue my walk, I begin telling myself a story. It is a simple story, but it helps my English flow. I imagine that I am traveling to a new city, a place where no one knows me, a place where I can speak English freely without fear of judgment. In that imagined city, I walk into a small cafe, order a drink, and talk to the people around me with confidence. The more I imagine this scene, the more real it feels. It makes me realize that fluency is not just about words. It is also about courage. I sit on a bench near a quiet park. Birds hop along the grass, pecking gently at the ground. A small breeze moves through the trees, and the leaves whisper softly to each other. I close my eyes and begin shadowing the sounds I hear, turning them into English descriptions. The wind moves. The leaves tremble. The morning continues quietly. This practice trains my mind to think in English even without a teacher or a lesson. As the sun rises higher, I take a deep breath and reflect on how far I've come. I remember the first time I tried shadowing. My voice felt stiff, my tongue stumbled, and I kept falling behind the speaker. I wanted to quit, but I didn't. I kept going, and slowly something changed. My voice became smoother. My confidence grew. And English started to feel less like a foreign language and more like a familiar friend. The park becomes a peaceful classroom, and I continue practicing out loud. I repeat phrases I remember from podcasts and stories. Sometimes I create my own sentences, letting my imagination guide me. Little by little, my English becomes more natural, like a river that has learned how to flow around every stone. After a while, I stand up and continue my walk. I pass by small shops with colorful signs and friendly faces behind the windows. Every sign, every face, every sound becomes part of my practice. Even the world can teach English if I pay attention. I decide to stop by a small library. The moment I step inside, I feel a warm silence, the kind that feels full of stories waiting to be discovered. I walk between the shelves slowly, reading the titles of books, whispering them in English. The library feels like a safe place, a place where learning becomes gentle and enjoyable. I pick up a book and sit by the window. The sunlight falls across the page, and I begin to read out loud softly, shadowing the narrator in my mind. The characters feel alive, their voices becoming part of my own practice. Reading out loud helps me hear the music in the sentences, the rhythm in the dialogue, and the beauty of the language. It reminds me that English is not something to fear. It is something to enjoy. As I read, time passes quietly. The world outside continues moving, but inside this moment, everything feels calm and slow. I close the book gently and rest my hands on my lap. I feel proud, not because I am perfect, but because I am trying, growing, and changing. The library remains quiet as I stand up from my seat, holding the book gently in my hands. I place it back on the shelf and smile, feeling grateful for the peaceful moments I spent with its pages. When I step outside, the sunlight has grown warmer, and the world seems brighter than it did in the morning. It feels as if the day itself is encouraging me to continue learning, step by step, word by word. I walk slowly down the street, allowing my thoughts to drift into English. Each step feels calm, each breath feels steady, and my mind feels open. Shadowing has become a quiet companion that walks beside me, reminding me that fluency is not a destination, but a journey I take every day. The more I speak, the more connected I feel to the language. As I pass a small cafe on the corner, the smell of fresh coffee drifts through the air. I pause by the door, wondering if I should go in. A gentle courage rises in my chest. The same courage that brought me this far, and I push the door open. The cafe is warm and cozy, with soft music playing in the background. I walk up to the counter and greet the barista in English, my voice steady and calm. Even though my heart beats a little faster, I feel proud of myself for speaking without fear. The barista smiles kindly and repeats my order, and I nod with confidence. The simple exchange feels like a small victory, a reminder that every real conversation, no matter how short, helps me grow. When I sit at a small table near the window, I whisper to myself the phrases I used a moment ago, shadowing my own voice. I replay the conversation in my mind, not to judge it, but to learn from it. As I sip my drink, I observe the people inside the cafe. Some type on laptops, some read books, and some chat quietly with friends. Their voices blend into a soft background melody, and I begin shadowing their rhythm. Not their words, but the way they speak, the melody of English flowing naturally from one person to another. This simple listening exercise teaches me more than I expected. It shows me how natural speech sounds, how people pause, how they emphasize certain words, how they express emotion. After finishing my drink, I walk outside again. The sky has shifted to a deeper blue, and thin clouds drift lazily across it. I decide to take the long way home, giving myself more time to practice shadowing through observation. Each building, each sound, each face becomes a small lesson. I whisper descriptions quietly, letting my voice flow with confidence. When I reach a quiet street lined with trees, I slow my pace. The leaves move gently in the breeze, casting soft shadows on the ground. I take a deep breath, close my eyes for a moment, and begin a new shadowing session with the world around me. The wind moves softly through the branches. The sunlight dances on the sidewalk. The world feels calm, and I feel ready to speak. As I walk, I imagine a future version of myself. Someone who speaks English naturally. Someone who expresses ideas clearly. Someone who no longer worries about mistakes. I picture myself traveling, meeting new people, and using English with ease. The image inspires me, not because it feels distant, but because I can already feel myself moving toward it. After a while, I reach a quiet park bench and sit down. The sound of children playing echoes in the distance, and the laughter feels warm. I take a moment to reflect on the day. From the early morning silence to the library, the cafe, and this peaceful evening, every moment has been a lesson. Every word I spoke brought me closer to fluency. Every whisper, every shadowed sentence, every brave attempt built a stronger version of me. The sun begins to lower in the sky, painting the world with shades of gold and soft orange. I lean back and watch the colors shift slowly, feeling calm and proud. Today was not perfect, but it was meaningful. I learned through quiet moments, through small conversations, through courage that grew little by little. As the evening breeze brushes against my face, I whisper softly to myself, I am improving. I am learning. I am becoming fluent. The words feel strong, like a promise I make to my future self. The day may be ending, but my journey continues, and tomorrow will bring new opportunities,